Welcome to the Hoopologists Podcast. My name is Saif Basaria. I almost choked on that, by the way.
You did.
I'm Shawan Samani.
And I'm Asalalani.
I swear I was about to say the Waterboy. Case, I'm looking at the picture behind you, and I'm like, yes, I know what to say, and yet I'm going to say the wrong thing. Anyway, listener, if you haven't noticed, we changed the name from the Waterboy and Equipment Manager Podcast to now the Hoopologist Podcast, which I hope you like better, listener. And I hope that you're more able to find us wherever you look for us. That's the whole point. It's so that we're just
at Hoopologists
on
all socials.
Yes, on all socials. It's at Hoopologist. Very easy to find. If you don't know how to spell it, I don't know what to tell you. It's not very difficult at this point. I think we've made it as easy for you as possible at this point. Anyway, listener, this week we're doing the playoff preview. That's what we're here to do. This is the most exciting part of the NBA season. Besides when the Lakers win an NBA championship, which is longer than I thought. No, I'm kidding. Fuck you guys. Anyway, going into
next year, baby.
Yeah, next year's our year. Look, I got a shirt that says 2020. That is this decade. I am a happy man. Very few people can say that. Okay. It's us in Milwaukee, and that's it. So jumping into it, listener, hopefully you're hearing us prior to the play-in games, but we actually don't know the results of the play-in games just yet. So we're kind of winging on the play-in games and kind of decide what we're going to do here. What I'm interested in doing is we're going to go start with the Eastern Conference. So the play-in game is 7 and 8, which is Brooklyn and Cleveland. And then 9 and 10, which is Atlanta and Charlotte. Whoever wins that 7 and 8 matchup will go directly into the 7 seed. And then whoever wins that 9 and 10 matchup between Charlotte and Atlanta will play the loser of the 7 and 8 matchup. So let's jump into it, boys. Brooklyn at 7, Cleveland at 8. The game will be in Brooklyn, and it looks like pretty much everybody except for Ben Simmons will be playing that game because Goran Dragic just got cleared with health and safety protocols as well. Cleveland looks to be actually healthy. Looks like Jared Allen anticipates playing in this game. Listener, like I said, by the time you're listening, you could have more information than I do. But right now, Evan Mobley, Jared Allen look to be able to play in this game, which is obviously exciting news. Asad, what do you think? Brooklyn, Cleveland?
One thing really quick.
Yes.
Sham said that Jared Allen is out for the play-in.
They ruled it out.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I appreciate the heads up because that helps a lot. So no Jared Allen going into it. And Shaman, I did ask you, do you have the head-to-head record for this one?
Between Brooklyn and Cleveland?
Yeah, if you don't, that's okay.
No, I got it. It's so it's 3-1 Brooklyn.
Okay, very cool. All right, Asad, give me your quick preview on this matchup here.
Yeah, this should be straightforward. I mean, as much as this NBA season has been straightforward, I guess, which goes to show, right? But right. And so with Brooklyn, obviously everyone's healthy. Kyrie Irving is eligible to play at home games now for the last few weeks of the season. Cleveland has been reeling. Obviously, they lost Ricky Rubio earlier in the season. Colin Sexton as well. And then now the Jared Allen injury, over the last month or so after his finger injuries has hurt them as well. And so Brooklyn's healthy. Cleveland is not. Brooklyn is the better team. They have arguably the best player in the world and Kevin Durant on their team. This should be an easy, quick 15-point win for Brooklyn. And I would be very, very surprised otherwise.
Shaban, you're nodding your head. So I assume you agree with this.
Yes, I'm a very hard agree. You guys know how much of a big fan I am of Jared Allen and with defensive energy that he brings to Cleveland and to that team. And I think that without him, Cleveland doesn't really have much of a chance of leaving it up to just Evan Mobley to anchor that paint. So I think that Kevin Durant's just going to dominate. Kyrie Irving is going to have they're probably going to combine for about 80 points like they have a couple of times already.
Is very high, Shaban. 80 is an aggressive number here, man.
All right, they'll probably combine for 60 like they've done a couple of times already this season.
Sure, yes. That seems very reasonable.
So, yeah, I think this is going to be a clear-cut blowout win for Brooklyn.
Case, do you have anything else for this?
Yeah, I disagree.
You disagree?
Oh, okay.
I do think Brooklyn will win, but it's not going to be a blowout. Simply because if you look back at these team matchups all the way until 2010, the largest margin of victory has been 5 points.
Okay. I don't care who's on the LeBron James on these teams at that point.
No matter. Largest margin of victory is 5 points. So you're telling me with LeBron, they only managed to win by 5?
Yeah, no, I get your point. I just don't understand how history.
I think it's
plays
going to be a
role.
good game. It's going to be a close game. And we'll see. Maybe the Nets decide to lose. Who knows?
Kaze's mic is going up and down right now with the volume. I don't think it's my end. I think it's his end on this one here. But he said
Figure
that
it out.
the Nets will win. Like the other two peers that we have on here. I agree. The Nets are going to win.
One caveat also.
Yes.
The one win that Cleveland does have is a game that Kevin Durant didn't play.
Very nice. Yeah, I think Brooklyn wins this one. If Cleveland was the Cleveland that we saw earlier in the season, there's a chance this game is much more fun to watch. I don't think this game will be all too fun to watch. If it is for maybe a quarter and a half, 15 points is a hell of a choice, but I don't have a good argument against it, to be very honest with you. Let's jump into the 9 and 10 seed. The loser of this goes immediately home, while the winner of this will play what we assume to be Cleveland based on what the four of us in this podcast have picked. Atlanta is hosting the Charlotte Hornets. Shaban, what is our head-to-head record on this matchup?
It's tied 2-2.
2-2. Very cool. All right. This is a tough one. This should be a good basketball game, or at least I hope it's a good basketball game. Okay, starting with you, my friend. What do you think the result of this basketball game will be?
Hawks by 10.
Hawks by 10. Okay. Shaban. Wait. Case, do you have any analysis that you'd like to provide?
No,
if we're going off gut feeling, I'm cool with that too. I just
it's
don't want to skip
gut
over
feeling.
You. Okay.
It's all Trae Young.
Cool. I dig it. Shaban, any thoughts on this game?
Would you be surprised if I said I agree with Case?
I wouldn't. It wouldn't
you
shock
never
me at all.
fucking agree with
me. It wouldn't shock me at all. I'm just interested in hearing what you have to say.
No, like Atlanta and Charlotte are on paper, they come as pretty evenly matched teams, except that Atlanta still has a top 5 offense in the NBA. And I think that while Charlotte's roster has matured over the years and how they're looking like a more complete basketball team, I think Atlanta's offense is just going to blow them out really early. And also Atlanta has looked really good as of late. I think they've gone like 16-4 since the All-Star break. They would probably be on a 50-win pace if they didn't have a lot of the injury concerns and COVID concerns earlier this season. So I think that Hawks have a good chance of winning this game pretty convincingly.
I'm interested in seeing if Asad's opinion is any different on this one. Asad, what are your thoughts, my guy?
I have a lot more reservations than these two do.
I do as well. So I was like, am I a crazy person? Am I overrating Charlotte?
No, I don't think so.
Glad I'm not alone in this one.
So a couple things with this. One, yes, the Hawks have looked a lot better since the All-Star break, but the thing that worries me, and I mean, I saw this at I was at the Hawks Rockets game just this at the season end right here.
It's a good gauge, man.
Okay, but here's why. I mean, the Rockets scored like 120 points. Like, I mean, there was no. I mean, I guess the game also didn't matter that much, so there wasn't that much defensive intensity from the Hawks at all. But that's a theme that we've seen throughout the entire season, and I'm not very convinced that they are going to be able to turn on that defensive intensity for an entire game. I would really hope to say that I'm wrong and that they can, but with a team like Charlotte, who is explosive offensively, they've got dynamic players in LaMelo Ball, Terry Rozier, Miles Bridges. The defense has not been the Hawks' strong suit, and this is going to be a very high-scoring game. I think it will go down to the wire for that reason, and I'm also worried about the Hawks not having John Collins. I think it doesn't seem very optimistic that he's going to play for this game, and JC is a really, really big part for the Hawks, especially on the rebounding side. And Clint tries, and he will get his rebounds, but the Hawks rebounding has been weak outside of that. And so that concerns me because I feel like Charlotte has that effort and the hustle to overcome that and give us problems in that sense.
I agree with basically most of what you've said, Asad. My biggest concern with the Hawks is the defense. Offensively, I think they're going to be just fine. They have been for much of the season, especially since the All-Star break. Missing JC, I think, is huge for the Hawks. JC, by the way, John Collins, listener, if you're not familiar with the Atlanta Hawks lingo here. I do not think the Hornets will win, but it is the most likely upset of the play-in games that would not shock me one bit whatsoever. I'm gonna pick the Hawks to win because I think the Hawks are more. I think the narrative of this game is simple, and I know I don't want to break it down so simply, but I think it really is that easy. Whoever shoots better from three will win this game. I think it's that simple because I don't think either team is incredible on defense. I think both teams are generally good three-point shooting teams, and this will break down to whoever gets hot. If the Hawks can get hot, if Bogey and DeAndre Hunter and Kevin Huerter and Trae Young and whoever else can get hot and Gallo can get hot from three, they will win. If on the other hand, LaMelo, Rozier, Bridges, PJ, some of the other guys on this team get hot from three, I think that they'll win. Both teams are very good offensively. Neither team is especially great defensively. I do think the Hornets are a little bit better defensively. And I'm a bit concerned on where the hell they're going to hide Trae Young defensively because there's really nobody on this team that you can genuinely just hide him off of, which is a bit of a concern to me. I think the Hawks win. By the way, the listener, 4.5 is the spread. I don't know if the Hawks will cover a 4.5 spread. I think it's going to be a pretty wire-to-wire shot, and we might get a Trae Young iconic moment where he gets to bow in front of the home crowd, or they get sent home. And so I will pick the Hawks very hesitantly. I think I said you've done the same. Is that right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. It'll be close.
Okay, so listener, so far, just to recap, Brooklyn has beaten Cleveland in this assumption, which means they're going into the 7 seed. Cleveland lost to Brooklyn, so they're going to go play what we think are the Atlanta Hawks. To be very honest with you, I don't really care who wins the Atlanta Hawks or the Charlotte Hornets. I think both of those teams will beat Cleveland in the play-in scenario, simply because I think Cleveland is just too weak. I don't think that they're good enough without Jared Allen or without some of the other pieces, so I think the Hawks will beat Cleveland. I think the Hornets will also beat Cleveland. Also, do you have any other thoughts on this?
No, I think I agree with that assessment. We've talked about it with Cleveland not being at full strength. One thing that does worry me about the Hawks is their road performance. So, because the Hawks are the home team in their first playing game, I'm more inclined to pick them there. But the Hawks being on the road worries me, and they're more likely to go cold on the road. So it's not. I think it's possible that they go cold in Cleveland and they could lose that game.
So who are you picking?
I'm gonna stick Hawks hesitantly for both.
All right, Kays, where are we going? Hawks and Cleveland. Hawks. Simple. All right, I appreciate it, Kays.
I don't need the psychobabble like you guys do.
Fair enough. We do because I have to justify it. Otherwise, I feel
you have to convince yourself. That's all it is.
I'm not gonna argue with you, my friend. Shaban, what do you think, man?
I'm gonna say Hawks because I said so.
Because I said so. All right. So you're learning a lot from the K's mantra of life. Listener, if you're keeping
up, ready for that, Shaban.
it is a challenge for sure. Anyway, listener, that means the Hawks are jumping into the 8th seed against Miami, and Brooklyn is jumping into the 7th seed against Boston. We're going to jump over to the Western Conference and do the play-in tournament there before we come back and do the entire Eastern Conference playoff matchups. So let's make the West a little bit quicker because I do think it's a little bit quicker. I do think the most exciting game that we're going to get is Minnesota against the Clippers. I think it'll be very, 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 very fun. So give me your quick thoughts on Minnesota and the Clippers and who's going to win this game for the 7-8 matchup in the West.
This might be an unpopular pick, but I do think that the Clippers are going to win this game, even though they're the road team. And the reason why I say that is 2 reasons. So I think they've got the best player on the court in Paul George, and I think they're just more experienced. It's a well-coached team. Ty Lue's great coach. Clippers have been in the playoffs. They've been there before. So it would not surprise me if the Clippers would come back and stun the Timberwolves on the road.
I don't think that's the most unpopular opinion because I actually also
I think mine is more unpopular.
I think the Clippers are going to win as well. I think that they're better coached. I think they play harder. I think they have more experience. I like the fact that they simply just do not give a shit. And I'm interested in seeing who's going to guard Paul George on this basketball team. Also, that obviously goes for who's going to guard Karl-Anthony Towns on the Clippers. But until Karl-Anthony Towns proves himself to be a legitimate playoff basketball player, someone who is not considered quote unquote soft, I think it's only fair that he's going to have to shed that mantra. He's not just going to get it. So I'm going to pick the Clippers here as well. I actually don't think that's highly unpopular. The line is 3 points, so it's not a super blowout. It's it's quite a tight game. Shaban, you're shaking your head for the Clippers or against the Clippers? I'm confused.
No, I'm saying I'm looking at the stats right now. So I'm looking at the season series between Minnesota and the Clippers, and yeah, it's pretty much what you expect. 3-1 in favor of the Clippers. The one win that Minnesota had was when Paul George was out, but now Paul George is back. Paul George is looking like he hasn't missed a beat. I think that the Clippers are also going to take this game. And I don't think that's a very unpopular opinion. I think it's going to be a foregone conclusion that they're probably the favorites to come out here.
I got to say, I think it's funny, Us, that you came into it thinking unpopular opinion. And by the way, it probably might be an unpopular opinion among just general casual basketball fans. But considering you're talking to us, it's a marginally different conversation, isn't it, then?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I mean, obviously, you guys have your LA biases, but I mean, from what we talked about this season, I mean, Minnesota has been an exciting team. They've got all the potential in the world. So, I'm not surprised, but
I'm offended that you think I have an LA bias towards the Clippers.
No, I'm saying because of that, I would love
to see them lose.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's why I thought you guys were going to go the other way.
Yeah, no, but I just think they're better, and we're gonna do our best to be objective on this podcast, or at least I try. I let Kays. You remember the Key and Peele skit where it's like the Obama anger translator? Kays is my brain translator when it comes to my biases. I just let him do that part. Because ready, watch this. Kays, who's winning this game?
Well, I'll be the general casual viewer here because I think this is going to be the Karl Anthony Towns coming out party.
What I say, Kays is
not out of the closet, but as a playoff basketball player. I think he's going to drop a 40-piece, and he's going to carry the team to victory.
I got no qualms with what you said. The cool thing about this basketball game is I think either way we go here, I just think we're in for a really good basketball game. I disagree.
You called my opinion the casual viewer's opinion.
No, I said that the reason why Asad said that it would be a shock is because he was assuming that we're all casuals, which we are clearly not. Considering we host a basketball podcast.
I didn't say that. Now you're just making me.
But you did sure as hell imply it.
No, that's not what I meant. I just thought that you guys.
It's okay. I'm offended. I forgive you. Whatever. Anyway, so we're going 3-1 on the Clippers, moving into the 7th seed, playing against Memphis, and that means New Orleans at 9 and San Antonio at 10. This one is actually very easy in my opinion. I think New Orleans is winning this one pretty handedly. I think their best players are just better. I think they're better on both sides of the court. And last I checked, Jonas Valanciunas should be close to himself after not being super himself in the last couple of weeks. He looks relatively healthy. And I think that's going to be the difference with Jonas Valanciunas, Brandon Ingram, and CJ McCollum with obviously NBA darling Herbert Jones. This team is just better. They are offensively more equipped to beat. And by the way,
excuse me. I missed the mute button.
You're all right. And San Antonio did not earn this spot as much as the Lakers just absolutely lost this spot. And I think San Antonio is just very happy to be here, and they'll be more than happy to go home or 1-2-3 Cancun with the Lakers very, very soon. Kays, what are your thoughts on this? Pelicans and Spurs.
Pelicans should win, but I'd love nothing more than to just see Popovich say "fuck you" to the Pelicans.
Chaos and destruction, baby.
So you're picking the Pelicans just for the record, is that right?
Yeah, I think the Pelicans should and will win.
Okay.
I just find the outcome of the Spurs, who basically were gifted a play-in spot, just come and beat the Pelicans, who fought back from absolute dog shit to where they are right now.
It would be quite funny. It's like you worked hard for nothing. Shaman, what are your thoughts? Pelicans, Spurs?
I think you guys nailed it. I think that the Pelicans should come out of this one.
I like the apprehension that both of you have brought to this game. This should not be an apprehensive game, and yet it's the Pelicans.
It wasn't apprehensive.
You said they should win this game.
But
like with the Hawks, you were like, they're winning this game.
Yeah, you seem hesitant.
Yeah,
I'm not mad
I can't be confident in the Pelicans, bro.
Bro, we just
Zion
came
was supposed to be back at the beginning of the
means.
season.
That's the definition.
Bro, we just came out of a March Madness where every top 5 team got upset in like the first 2 rounds. I'm still like fresh from those wounds.
That doesn't happen in the NBA playoffs, my friend.
This is not the fucking NCAA.
Yeah, let's not forget that the Spurs and Pelicans won 34 and 36 games respectively. These are not good basketball teams we're talking about. I think that at some point the NBA should probably institute like a limitation on like, hey, if you're actually like 10 games or 8 games or 6 games below 500, we probably shouldn't have you in the play-in, even if you're the rightful 10 seed or something like that. If you guys remember in the bubble year, you had to be within 4 games of the 8 seed to get a play-in spot.
I think that.
And I think they should institute something like that. Let's be honest.
Mhm.
The Spurs, on the slight chance, the apprehension that Kays and Shaban are proposing means that there's a chance they could win, which I agree. There is a chance they could win. Do we really want to see the Spurs against the Suns? Do we really want to see that?
Well,
No,
they'd
I
have
don't
to
wanna
play the
see that.
loser of the first game.
No, I get it, but I'm saying in a world in which the Spurs go through and they end up in the first round, do we really want to see the Spurs against? No, we don't want to fucking see the Spurs against the Suns. Nobody wants to see that. By the way, that's not saying I want to see the Pelicans against the Suns either. That's going to be a quick one as well. So there should be a cutoff at some point that says, hey, you know what? You're just really fucking bad. And that's okay.
Look, as long as they're still playing basketball in the second week of May, I don't care.
Also, real quick, Spurs Pelicans, who you picking?
Should be Pelicans. The Spurs just confused me. Of like, coming into the season, I thought that they should tank and
they should have
a good draft pick, but they said no, and they refused to do that. Doesn't make sense.
They won
to
34
me,
games. Are we sure they said no, or did the Lakers
Pop
decide
wanted
to
the
suck
record,
more?
bro.
Yeah, Pop does not like. There's no way Pop was going to tank, right? That's just not. He's not built like that, so it wasn't going to happen. But as a franchise direction, I don't necessarily agree. But I'm not running the show, so.
All right, so that means the Spurs in this case are going home. The Pelicans will play the Minnesota Timberwolves based on our predictions, which means Asad, Minnesota or New Orleans.
I think Minnesota wins this one. I don't think they lose 2 in a row. They get 2 home games. They're not going to blow 2 chances. I would really hope not.
I agree with you. I think Minnesota as well. Shaban, Minnesota. Okay, and Case.
I think the Clippers beat the Pelicans quite handily.
Gotcha. Cool. All right. That means Minnesota will jump into the 8th seed against Phoenix, and the Clippers will jump into the 2 seed with Memphis. Let's jump back to the Eastern Conference playoffs. I think we're gonna do this. Just we'll go down the chart. So Miami will play Atlanta based on what we've talked about. This is a playoff series that we have seen multiple times in my lifetime. The Atlanta Hawks somehow find their way to playing the Miami Heat, I think like 4 times, if I remember correctly. And it's been a little while, I think, since the 2 teams have met in the playoffs. But I find this very difficult to pick the Hawks. I find it very, very, very
I
difficult.
do too. I was at 2 Hawks Heat games this year, and we got
Omar
blown out in both
Yurtseven
of
beat
them.
the shit out of the Atlanta Hawks when you were at the game, if you remember, Case.
Yes, I do. Thank
Hayes
you
was
for
like-
bringing up that trauma.
Yeah.
I had to ask my 15-year-old cousin, who is a Heat fan, who the fuck is number 17?
I like that you remember his number even still. That's amazing.
I might be wrong.
I think he's
his number?
77. I think he's 77.
There's a 7 in there. Yeah.
Close enough. I'll take it. All right. So quickly then, I think this is a relatively quick series. I think the Hawks will lose this series to the Heat in 5 games. If John Collins was here, maybe we could see a 6-game series, but without John Collins, I just don't see a world in which the Hawks beat the Heat really more than once, unless Trae Young becomes Jesus
God
himself. Yeah, sure. Exactly. Even Michael Jordan couldn't save the Hawks in this year. Maybe he could. I don't know. But we don't have Michael Jordan. We have Trae Young, who's very good, but he's not Michael Jordan. Also, Miami Heat, Atlanta Hawks. What are you thinking?
Yeah, with that Heat defense, I'm not confident that the Hawks can be able to overcome that for 7 games. And then I think Miami's good enough where they can score, and the Hawks defense is nothing to brag about. So Tyler Hero, assuming 6 man of the year at this point, like that bench unit.
It's not assuming.
Yeah, it's a lot.
6 man of the year.
Yeah. So
He's like minus 8,000.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's
I mean, he
the
deserves
most
it.
luckiest.
He's the first. I think he's the first 6 man to average more than 20 points a game since Lou Will or Jamal Crawford.
Really? That's pretty cool.
So yeah, they're well coached, just cohesive. I know that their big 3 haven't played that many games together, which is I think the one silver lining that I think we can tackle as Hawks fans. If maybe we hope that they haven't had enough time to gel together, and that
Does it matter? They're number
All
one
right.
seed, having not played that many games together. Is that not scary?
Yeah, I'm grasping at straws here.
I
okay?
know.
I'm trying.
Don't. Just the
Yeah,
Miami Heat in how many games?
Heat in 5.
Okay, Shaban, make it quick, man.
Heat in 5.
Okay, and Case.
My mind says Heat in 6.
Okay.
My heart says Hawks in 7.
Okay, great. So which one are we going with? I mean, it
Heat
doesn't
in
matter.
6.
We've already chose. Yeah, great. So we got the Miami Heat moving on to the next round. But listener, we're only doing first round today, just to give you an idea. We have the Heat moving on to the second round. The matchup just below them are the Philadelphia 76ers against the Toronto Raptors. The Philadelphia 76ers are the home team in this series. When they travel to Toronto, the Philadelphia 76ers will not have Matisse Thybulle because he is not vaccinated or not fully vaccinated.
Oh, he's not vaccinated at all.
Well, no, he got the first shot and then decided not to get the second, which is like a whole story. Look, if we had time today, I would love to dive into the intricacies of this story, but we're going to have to talk about this one offline. Listener, if you're interested, Google it. It is, I can't make sense of it. I'm sorry. I just can't. So I'll be nice because I like him as a player. I'm sure he's a good person. This is fucking insane. Anyway, Philadelphia, Toronto, they will not have Matisse Thybulle in the Toronto games. Otherwise, Philadelphia generally quite healthy coming into this. I don't think James Harden is healthy, but they list him as healthy. Therefore, he's healthy. Toronto, on the other hand, also listed as pretty much healthy. OG was a big question mark. He played the last game of the season, put on 25 points. Sorry, 25 minutes, not 25 points. Freddie is semi-questionable. So is that right?
Yeah, he's got a nagging knee injury that he's kind of been playing on and off with ever since the All-Star break. He missed about 7 games since the All-Star break. He sat for 5 consecutive games. Sat out a few games here and there for a right knee management. So he's not 100%, but they're gonna need him to give it his best shot because he's the main facilitator on that team.
So he will be playing. How much effect he'll have for the Raptors is to be determined. But this series is going to be one of the most fun series in the first round of the Eastern Conference. In my opinion, it will be the second most fun of the 4 that we'll talk about in the Eastern Conference today because Boston and Brooklyn will be more fun, but that's besides the point. We'll get there when we get there. Shaban, starting with you, man. Philly, Toronto, how's the series go? What do you like? What do you not like?
I'm looking at the head-to-head records, and
That doesn't matter.
It's 3-1 Toronto.
But does it matter? I'm just saying, like, James Harden probably wasn't it wasn't a Philadelphia 76er in all of those games. The Raptors have been on and off healthy all season. Those two teams have been very fluctuating as the season has gone on. So now,
plus all the games were decided by 2 points or less. So it's a
were they really? Wow.
Yeah.
Tight series. So Shaban, who do you like in this series and why?
I feel like we have yet to see James Harden take that next leap as far as this season goes, and I really want him to sort of just flip that switch, because man, Toronto will really surprise you. God, it's really I want to say Philly in 6.
You're struggling with the thing that I'm struggling with, and we're gonna talk about it in a minute. But we're gonna get there. You said Philly in 6. Totally respect it. Case, what do you think about this series?
And Toronto in 6, I think.
And that's, listener, whether you agree or disagree with either one of those two takes, that's why this series will be that fun. Because like Case and Shaban just displayed, this series can literally go either way. There are few series.
Also a toss-up.
Yeah, there are literally few series in this first round, like Miami, Atlanta. There's almost no situation in which Atlanta would win this one. There's another one we're about to talk about. It would be a shock if one of the two teams lost. This one, however, could literally go either way, in my opinion. I'm interested in seeing why you both picked 6 games specifically. That would imply that game 6 would be in Toronto, obviously. And you have separating results in both of those situations. Case, why are you picking Toronto in 6? And then Shaban, after Case is done, why are you picking Philly in 6?
I think that without Matisse, the Toronto Raptors will overcome at home. And then I think they'll steal one on the road as well.
Shaman, what do you think, man?
my logic is the opposite. I think that Joel Embiid is going to have a crazy 45-point monster game to carry Philly to steal a game on the road, and then they just have to play two, and then they just have to get they just have to hold or, and then they can just try to close it out at home.
All right, our resident James Harden fan, Assad.
Hey, man.
What do
For the
you think?
listeners, what we said was James Harden cocksucker.
Thank you, Case.
Jesus Christ.
Subtle he is not, but effective he is. Assad, what are your thoughts on the series? That probably, we've said this about 10 times in his career, but the James Harden career-defining, legacy-defining series, if it doesn't work here, will it work anywhere? What are your thoughts?
Yeah, there's a lot that hinges on this. And I talked about this when the trade first went down from Brooklyn, that he's making this move. Like, this is all for the playoffs. And if this blows up on him in the first round, then it's a very, very bad look for him. And so just to kind of give you what you said earlier, Safe. So after the James Harden trade, Philly has played Toronto twice. James Harden has played in both of those games.
Okay.
And Toronto has won both of those games.
Good to know.
So
I didn't know, so I didn't want to guess, but I appreciate
Toronto,
you clarifying.
great strip clubs, by the way.
Sure. Yeah, clearly that's
Also, does that wait, actually, Shaban, do you want to change your pick based on that new information? I'm kidding. Also, sorry, continue on.
The James Harden run in Philly started off really strong. They started off 6-1, 7-1 in their first few games. James Harden played really well, had a couple 30-point triple doubles. He was scoring really well. The passing has never gone away. I think he's averaging like 10 assists a game, like his entire time, like in Philly. But what worries me is the last month of the season where his scoring has gone down. And in a series, in the playoffs, especially as the team's second best player, you are going to have to score. And especially with Toronto and how good they are defensively and how good Nick Nurse is with schemes, they are going to take the ball out of Joel Embiid's hands. They are going to double team him. They're going to trap him. They're going to send a bunch of dudes at him. And they're going to say, hey, okay, James Harden, it's on you. You make the right read. And then the likes of Danny Green, Georges Niang, Tobias Harris, you guys have to make shots and make plays. And if we lose to you, that's fine. We're not going to lose to Joel Embiid paint mashing us and dunking over us. So I just don't see Nick Nurse and the Toronto Raptors folding over that way. And because of that, this series will go 7 games. And I hesitantly say Philly in 7.
I think your analysis is pretty spot on. I think the only reason it seemed as though you were leaning Toronto until you said Philly in 7, which means you're probably picking a little bit with your heart than you are with maybe your mind here. I respect it. I likely would have done the same if I was such a fan of James Harden and the Philadelphia 76ers. The one big question, Shaban brought it up, Asad, you brought it up. How do they stop Joel Embiid? Well, doesn't even matter. Can they slow down Joel Embiid, or can they at least limit the other factors around Joel Embiid with the Tobias Harrises and the Tyrese Maxeys, and obviously James Harden? I can't tell. Okay, are you asking me to stop talking?
I wanted to just jump in.
Oh, then just jump in. You raised your hand and I paused because I was like, do you want me to stop
I was wondering
talking?
why you paused. I thought I was fucking frozen.
I was like, what?
I was like, are we just gonna stay here?
I thought there'd be a nice natural break for me to get in here. But I think the way you go about it is you say, fuck what everything's going on. You let Embiid do whatever the fuck he wants, and you lock up everyone else.
And look, the one thing that Toronto does especially well is they have so many versatile wings. It's a bit scary, right? They have OG, they have Pascal, who's obviously a genuinely good defender and a great offensive player this year, as he's proven. They've got Scotty Barnes, they've got Gary Trent, they've got a handful of guys who they can kind of switch around and play with. My other question and concern is when they made that trade with Brooklyn, the Philadelphia 76ers I'm talking about, they lost a lot of pretty much all of their depth. So besides their 5 starters and maybe one guy off the bench, they're not all too impressive to look at. Toronto, on the other hand, it's the playoffs. They're not about to go 10 deep, but they can go 10 deep. And I think that's the difference. So I'm concerned about how many of those bench minutes they're going to win if James Harden is the James Harden we've seen in the last few weeks. Because obviously there's not a point in which there won't be one of James Harden or Joel Embiid on the floor at all times in this series. But James Harden has to be effective in those moments. And a lot of that in the last month has been James Harden making sure Tyrese Maxey is very effective in those moments. Not that James Harden himself is effective. That's great. But James Harden, now it's time. It's time for you to become the person that Asad so badly wants you to be. I want so badly to pick Toronto in 7 because I do think that Toronto as a team is a better basketball team. I think they are better coached. I think they have more depth that matters. But I don't see a world in which Joel Embiid loses in round 1. I just don't. And for that reason, and not James Harden, for Joel Embiid specifically, I have to pick Philadelphia in 7. I just don't see a world in which he loses in round 1 in the season in which he thinks he's the MVP and very well could be when the votes are all counted at the end of the day, like a month or 2 from now, whenever that is, which by the way, I hate. Why are we waiting up? Can we just announce it like next week? We already know the votes, right? Let's just do it. So I will pick Philadelphia, which I think puts us in a deadlock into round 2, but it doesn't matter because we're not predicting round 2 today.
It's 3-1. Me, you, Shaban pick Philly, and Case picks Toronto.
Yes. So there you go. But listener, doesn't matter. We're gonna find out in a couple weeks' time. Let's jump into Milwaukee, Chicago. This is the series I was talking about that it would genuinely shock me if Chicago beat Milwaukee in this series. Chicago has not been the same since losing Lonzo Ball and then at some point Alex Caruso and some Patrick Williams. 2 of those 3 guys are back, and for whatever reason, they still don't look the same. I'm not really sure what's wrong in Chicago, but I know that they're not better than Milwaukee. So I will make this easy. I think Milwaukee will win. I don't think they'll win easily. I think they'll win in 6 games. But no, you know what? I'm gonna take that back. I'm gonna pick Milwaukee in 5 because I think Giannis is gonna shut it down. He's gonna say, you know what? Why not have a couple extra nights of rest if I can afford to do so? I think he's gonna put on what he knows is an MVP performance because he's one of the best players in the world right now. So I'll take Milwaukee in 5. Shaban, real quick, what's the head-to-head record, and then give me your preview on this series.
Clean sweep Milwaukee, so that should probably tell you where I'm at. I think that I'm probably gonna go the same way. I'm probably gonna pick. I think I'm going to say that I'm going to go a little hotter than you. I'm going to say that Milwaukee is going to sweep Chicago.
Woo. I like it. You really are taking a couple things from K's nowadays. I like it.
Except he's still following the numbers. You got to fuck the numbers.
So does that mean you're picking Chicago, K's?
Nah.
Okay,
that's one number I can't argue with.
What are you saying?
I vote with my heart, but at the end of the day, Chicago is 2-24 against top 3 teams in both conferences.
Yes.
Yeah, that's the stat I was looking for.
That's the number that gets to me. I don't care if you beat a whole single season series. I don't give a fuck. It's the playoffs. It's a new season.
They're 8-15 since the All-Star break, so they've been on a bit of a backslide as of late. They're not able to score as many points as they used to.
I think Zach LaVine has really not been the same since the return of his injury. Obviously, Lonzo Ball missing him kind of sucks too. So, Case, it seems as though you made up your mind.
Bucks in 5. Yeah.
There we go. And also, do you have anything else that you'd like to add before you give us a prediction here?
I'm going to say Bucks in 5. The only win that Chicago gets is I'm going to say game 3 when DeRozan has 45 points, but that's it.
I think it's going to be one of those games, yeah, where DeRozan has like a 45 piece and then like Zach LaVine helps him out with like 34 or something. And we get like almost an 80-point performance from those 2 guys put together, something crazy like that. And the other question is Chris Middleton. He's been on and off this NBA season. He's not looked 100% like himself. Also, I know you and I talked about Chris Middleton a little bit offline a couple days ago. Chris Middleton is going to be big. They need him to be quite literally just himself. Nothing more than he's already been, which is obviously a very good quality NBA player. He's an all-star caliber player. That's kind of the question mark, which I think might affect them later in the playoffs. But in the first round, I don't think it's going to matter all too much. Let's talk about the most, I think, fun series of the first round. Boston Celtics against the Brooklyn Nets. Boston looks to be missing Robert Williams probably for a little bit of this series. There's really no timetable, but they expect him back in round 1, which means he could be back as early as game 1 or as late as game 3, 4, and 5. As it sits now, I believe Boston will be playing their first home game in this series on Saturday evening, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. And it seems like that timetable on Robert Williams is quite short. So, and then obviously Brooklyn is pretty much healthy. Ben Simmons may or may not make an appearance. We'll see. It seems as though he is expected to return at some point in the first round. I won't hold my breath because a back injury is a back injury, and that is he just had an epidural less than 30 days ago. Also, what are your thoughts on this series? Is this the most fun series of the first round, by the way, in the East?
Yeah, it is. It is the most fun. And just a caveat there. So Boston is scheduled to play on Sunday, so it gives another day for Robert Williams for whatever that's worth. This will be a really good series, but I think that Brooklyn, healthy with their two stars, I'm still not convinced that. I mean, I know that Boston has done really well in the regular season. I'm not convinced on how it translates to the postseason, especially with the pressure and playing honestly a championship caliber team in Brooklyn, because they have all the pieces for it. I'm gonna go Brooklyn in 6. I think Brooklyn wins this in 6 games.
I'm intrigued. Case, what do you think, bro?
Brooklyn in 5.
Just
Wow.
no respect. Got it.
Wow.
Shaban, what do you think, man? Wait. Hold on. Case, can you expand on this? Brooklyn in 5?
Kevin Durant with the chip on his shoulder. Healthy Kyrie.
And that's it. That's all that matters.
Well,
But they'll
Kyrie
combine
revenge games.
But revenge games. Let's say they average 35 apiece, which is like a ridiculous number. But let's say they average 35. That's 70 points. Where's the other 30 to 40 coming from? At least.
Seth Curry.
By the way, sprained ankle Seth Curry is what we're talking about here.
He can shoot. He's fine. What's his face? The center that I really like. Nick Claxton.
Andre Drummond.
Oh, yeah. Ben Simmons 2.0.
Yeah, I was waiting for that.
Bruce Brown.
I do like Bruce Brown as well. And that Jordan Carter kid, I think is his name.
Javon Carter.
And he plays for the Bucks.
He plays for the
Nah, the rookie. What's his name? Cam Thomas. Sorry.
Cam Thomas.
Really generic name.
That's true.
Jordan Carter.
He calls this man a generic name.
Well, it's 2 first names. What do you want me to do?
All right. So we've got Case saying Brooklyn in 5. So you've said Brooklyn in 6. Is that right?
Yes.
Shaban, you're what are you thinking here?
I feel kind of crazy right now because
no, you don't. Say what you're gonna say.
I'm picking Boston in 4. I'm picking Boston in 6. Like
I thought I heard 4.
He
and
just
I was
said
like,
Boston
I'm sorry,
in
what?
4. He said,
I thought I heard Boston in 4, and I was like,
No.
no, you are crazy. Then
I was like, hold on, let me backtrack. No, not 4. But yeah, I'm saying Boston in 6. Boston has completely turned their season around pretty much since that Panic Room episode that we did. All of their issues have pretty much been solved. They have gone 34-12 since the new year started. They're one of the best offenses and defenses in the league. And also, the last time Boston played the Brooklyn Nets, Kevin Durant played, Kyrie played, KD had 37, Kyrie had 19 points, and Jason Tatum had 54. And Jaylen Brown added in 21 too. All 5 of the starters was in double figures. And there were only 3 players in double figures for Brooklyn. And I think that's the consistent issue with Brooklyn is that they don't really have a lot of other guys that can bring it show up in big time moments like Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving can. And I think that's going to be their pitfall. And I think Brooklyn is looking like a really, really good team right about now.
And here's where I'm at. I'm going Boston in 7, and here's why. Until now, I was thinking I'm gonna go Brooklyn in 6, Brooklyn in 7, and then yesterday happened. Yesterday being Sunday, the last game of the regular season, in which Brooklyn was healthy, by the way, completely healthy, and they beat the Indiana Pacers 134-126. They allowed 126 points to the Indiana Pacers, who are one of the worst teams in basketball. Freaking Olashey Beef Brisket himself dropped 28 points on them. Buddy Hield 21, Tyrese Halliburton 17, 14 from McConnell, 10 from Terry Taylor, who I don't even know who that is. My point is they're an incredible offensive team. They don't play a lick of defense at all. And Boston is a great offensive team who plays a lot of defense. Missing Robert Williams hurts, but they've actually been pretty good defensively, even without Robert Williams. And by the way, last I checked, Brooklyn doesn't have some dominant down low force in which they're going to miss Robert Williams all too much in this series. And maybe later series in the playoffs, they might. In this specific series, they are going to be fine without Robert Williams. This is going 7 games. I think Boston wins it because I think Jason Tatum is the next dude. He is that guy, right? He showed us this year that he's not just a star. He is a super duper star. And Jaylen Brown is a star in this NBA. So yes, Kyrie Irving, Kevin Durant, dope. Besides that, I don't have one guy that I'm genuinely going to bank on here, including Seth Curry, who, by the way, has been hurt. So I'm going Boston in 7, which will be an interesting series because we're split on this on the roster today as well. All right. The West, a few of these are easy, so we'll make it as easy as we can be. Jumping over, Phoenix is going to play what we assume is now Minnesota as the 8th seed. I've got Phoenix in 4. All of a sudden?
Yep.
I'll go Phoenix in 5. I think I'll give Minnesota one
little
game
respect.
at home.
Sure.
Yeah, just one at home.
Fine. Shaban?
I'm saying Phoenix in 4.
Great. Case?
Phoenix with the sweep.
Cool. Yeah, I think Minnesota is good. I think Phoenix is the best team in basketball, and I think that you know that, listener. All right, Memphis is going to play the Clippers, and if we get a Kawhi Leonard appearance, this could be fun. But without Kawhi Leonard, I think this is probably at best a 6-game series with Memphis moving forward. I'm going to go ahead and say 5 games Memphis, only because the thing about this Memphis team is that they've shown that they're not fucking around. They've shown it multiple times this NBA season, and I value their demeanor and the way they carry themselves. And I think it's very different from many other quote-unquote young teams do. These guys clearly are just different. And for that reason, I'm taking Memphis in 5. Also, what do you think here?
I think Memphis wins this series, but I think it goes to 7 games. I think the Clippers experience, the coaching, and the lack of experience for Memphis, I think is going to hurt them a little bit. But I think they are the deeper team, and they're, obviously missing Kawhi is big. So I think that Memphis has the talent edge, obviously. But from all that I've seen with the Clippers and with Paul George and the way they play, they look really, really cohesive. And Paul George running the show and being a facilitator on that team has been really, really remarkable over the last 2 years, honestly. And so to see his growth as a playmaker, and kind of leading that team and being the two-way star that he is, I think the Clippers are gonna make Memphis work for it, but I think Memphis comes out on top in 7.
Case, what do you think about the Grizzlies? Grit and grind.
Grizzlies in 5.
I'm with you. Shaban, what do you think about the Grizzlies and the Clippers here?
Yeah, I say Grizzlies in 6. I commend Paul George. I think Paul George is going to be have a very good series, but I don't think without Kawhi Leonard, I don't think just him is going to be enough to push them through.
If we get Kawhi Leonard back, this is
we get Kawhi Leonard
so
back.
bad.
Then, hey,
I feel so bad for the Grizzlies. Like, let me go ahead and be 56-26, one of the best teams in the entire league. And then, I get the Clippers, who I thought weren't that good. Oh, wait, they got Paul George. Okay, fine. Oh, wait, they got Norman Powell. Oh, shit. Oh, they got Kawhi. What kind of gift is that? That's the worst. Like, it's absolutely ridiculous. So we'll see what happens from there. Also,
it seems like the Clippers are not very positive that Kawhi's going to come back.
He hasn't barely been doing 3-on-3s.
But that's the other thing too. They're coy.
Tell us if that was going to happen.
They're sly dogs. They be the type to pull some shit and be like, oh yeah, he's not doing this, and then all of a sudden,
can we be honest? Are we even sure the Clippers know what's going on with Kawhi Leonard right now?
No.
I'm just saying, like, nobody other than Kawhi, nobody knows what's going on, right? I think
they say that he hasn't progressed past individual drills.
Yeah,
so that's the report.
I would say the same thing.
I saw he did 1 3-on-3 practice and then hasn't done it since.
I'm just saying, if I'm the Clippers, why would I tell you? I'm just going to let him hop out in game whenever the injury report is due. I think it's like 24 hours before the game. That's when I would be like, oh, by the way, he's questionable. Exactly. Exactly. And that would be that. We'd fantasy football tag him as questionable and move on kind of thing. All right, let's jump into the number 4, number 5 seed, the Dallas Mavericks and the Utah Jazz. Shaban, you've got a picture behind you. What is going on in that picture? And are you concerned at all about this series?
I am pretty mildly concerned about this series.
But interesting.
Yeah, I still remain cautiously optimistic.
So you have to realize with Shaban's newfound casiveness, mildly for a normal Shaban is extremely concerned.
You know what? That's exactly it. And by the way, the picture behind me is Luka walking in a walking boot because in the season finale, he suffered a calf strain, which, by the way, he wasn't even supposed to play in that game anyways because he was supposed to get suspended, but he fought back against the 16th technical. So here we are. But I'm pretty concerned about the series without Luka. The season series is split 2-2 between Utah and Dallas, and I'm gonna say Dallas in 7 because I do think Luka is gonna be able to come. Like I do think that Luka is, if he does have to miss time, he's probably gonna miss first couple. He's probably gonna miss a game 1 or game 2. I think he would be. I think he, as we saw last playoffs, he played through a whole neck strain, so I think he'll be able. If he would probably want to play through a calf strain, anyways. And even with playing through a neck strain, he was still incredible in the last year's playoffs. So, I was gonna say Mavericks in 6, but now I'm gonna say Mavericks in 7.
So, Shaban, just quick question for you, and I don't mean to be facetious. I'm genuinely asking because I'm not sure. Luka's been in the NBA for 4 years now. Is that right?
4 years, yeah.
And they've made the playoffs 3 out of the 4 years. Is that right?
Yeah.
And he's been hurt every single playoffs?
I think they've made 2, right?
No, because the first year he had the ankle sprain in the bubble year against the Clippers, right? Where Marcus Morris tried to step on it afterwards to re-aggravate it, right?
Yeah.
Did they make the playoffs? Did they make the playoffs his rookie year?
No,
not his rookie year.
No, his second year, sophomore year. And this will be the 4th year is what I'm talking about, right?
Yeah.
And then last year was, like Shaban, you said, the neck strain. And this year we're looking at a possible calf strain. I'm not saying that there's any correlation to this, but it sure as hell seems like there's some correlation. Luka just finds a way to get hurt right before the playoffs. And I'm not sure. Dallas should have walked away with this series. And it should have began the true implosion of the Utah Jazz as we know them. If Luka is not like 90% or 85%, I don't know how I could pick them. I don't. So before I go, Asad, what are your thoughts on this series? Where are you going? Where are you leaning based on the information that we have, which is not much, by the way?
Yeah, no, that's true. And I mean, Dallas has been very hush-hush about it, understandably so. And I think that's concerning because they are very worried about what's going on with Luka. I want to throw this back to kind of our what we talked about in the beginning of the season when we did our point guard rankings. And when we talked about Luka and comparing Luka and James Harden and how that they are similar players.
No, we didn't do that. You did that.
Okay, sorry. I compared Luka and James Harden as similar players. And what I'm going to bring this back to is last year's playoffs. And James Harden was playing on a bum hamstring and he was playing on one leg, and it did not look pretty. And I think with Luka, him trying to do that, he's going to be playing on one leg. Like the calf strain is no joke, and it looks serious. And if you're not 100%, and you play the way that these guys play as the primary facilitators of your teams, where a lot of the offensive initiation relies on you, I think that's tough, and especially coming to the playoffs now. I mean, Utah has struggled. Yes, like they've blown some leads in the past few weeks, but
some aggressively disgusting leads.
Right, but
we're talking 20+ point leads
twice in a row, back to back.
It hasn't been pretty for Utah, but at the end of the day, they've made the playoffs. They are an experienced team. We forget that they were the number 1 team. They were the number 1 seed last year, right?
They were a regular season team.
Sure, but they've played in the playoffs and they had some playoff success. They came back 3-1 in last year's playoffs?
No, Denver 2 years ago.
It was the bubble.
Yeah,
bubble year.
So their roster has stayed the same. Quinn Snyder, a good coach. So, they're not one to necessarily fold over. And then now with a
Case, that's who the future Laker coach will be. Quinn Snyder. Duh. Come on. That's what I was like, dude. Who do we want? We want Quinn Snyder.
Of course, this is what always comes back to.
Basketball coach.
But yeah, I think with Luka playing with this injury, it's going to be really tough for them. And I don't see a world that the Mavs can pull this off. I'm saying Utah in 5.
Oh, 5. Wow.
Ooh, 5 is aggressive.
5 is pretty aggressive. Case. Chaos and destruction. Do you want to make Shaban's day or do you want to hurt him?
I want to make his day, but with this lack of information,
that's what I'm saying.
I want to say Luka plays everything after game 1 and Mavs in 6, but I got to go with the details we have, Utah in 6.
I'm in the same boat, man. If Luka is 100%, if yesterday doesn't happen,
Oh yeah,
I think the
Oh,
Mavericks.
it's
Mavs
a
in
whole
five.
different world.
Mavs in
100%.
5.
I think the
Yeah.
Mavericks win.
Right.
But with the information we've got, look, mercenary Luka is my favorite Luka, and so I will choose the Dallas Mavericks to win in 7 games, but I don't feel good about it. I don't. Based on many of the things
I'm biting my nails right with you, man.
you know what? Because I think the most fun scenario is Dallas beating Utah, so we can watch the implosion of the Jazz this summer.
And I don't have to buy the fucking Rudy Gobert championship
Also
jersey.
true. Also very true. A case, believe it or not, I think you're okay on that one, regardless of whether the Mavs.
Oh, me
beat them
too.
or
That's
not.
why I made the
Because
bet.
they got Phoenix in the next round if they do beat the Mavs. I don't think that one is happening. All right, Golden State, Denver, the last series we need to preview here. Anybody have any news on Steph Curry? Anybody?
He
'Cause I
seems
don't.
likely.
Nothing.
He seems likely to play from all indications
Game 1.
that we've heard. Yes, game 1. That he will be ready for game 1.
Yep. He will gradually return to on-court activities.
I mean, the way I've seen his energy and like him like on the sidelines, like for all of these games, like while he's been sitting out, and like they've been doing some workouts and stuff. But I mean, even when the injury happened, they had this entire game plan of like it's bad, but it's not that bad. Like it could have been worse, and we are going to rehab him and get him ready for game 1 of the playoffs. And from everything that I've seen and I've heard, I don't think that indication has changed. So unless something else comes out that like drastically changes that, I think he will play game 1.
Okay. And just to confirm, Jamal Murray, Michael Porter Jr.,
They're done.
they're not coming back. At
They
least
both
they're
suffered
done.
setbacks from their rehabs, so it doesn't look like they'll play.
Yeah. Okay. So the rosters are pretty much what we expect them to be, with Steph Curry coming back, hopefully, 80+% of himself. If that's the case, I think Golden State walks away with this series rather quickly. I'll take Golden State in 5 games. I think Jokic is incredible. I don't think that he himself is going to, what the second best player on this team is Will Barton. We're talking about here. We're talking about Aaron Gordon, the second best player. Is that what we're doing?
Uncle Jeff Green.
Yeah.
Stop it. Stop it.
Uncle Jeffy.
Just us said stop it. Enough of your bias. I'm so tired. So tired. Yeah, I think Golden State wins this thing in 5 games, even if from what we just saw of Klay Thompson on Sunday night, he looks fine. What we know about Jordan Poole, he's very good. Draymond Green is going to be an absolute wrecking ball against Jokic, at least for the parts that he does guard him. Kevin Looney is a body who's obviously no slouch. You're not going to stop Jokic, but the other guys on this team are not anything to be super excited about. They are not the second or even third best player on a championship caliber
Yeah, and
team.
apparently Facundo Campazzo's got a on his head.
Yeah, Campazzo is going to get his work from Wayne Ellington, apparently. Well, Wayne Ellington will be more effective against Facundo Campazzo than he has been for the Lakers all NBA season. Thank you,
100%.
Wayne, for absolutely nothing, you dickhead. Wayne, I hate the most on this Laker team, by the way, if that wasn't already apparent. I think I hate him the most because we signed him to be a shooter, and I didn't really expect anything but him to make shots. He didn't even do that. It's like the bare minimum was required of you. The one thing that you're supposedly good at. So Wayne Ellington, I'll catch you at my local LA Fitness over the summer because your ass is so done in the NBA. That's a ridiculousness. Are you kidding me? You had one fucking job. One. Anyway, Golden State in 5. That's my pick. Kays, what do you think about the Golden State Denver series?
I think Denver will steal one, but the Warriors take it in 5.
Okay, cool. Nice and simple. Shaban, what are your thoughts here?
I'm on the same page. I think Warriors in 5. I think Clay dropped 41 last night in 3 quarters, 3.5 quarters.
Thing, man. It was nice to see.
He's been on a really good run to close the season. So it's right? Definitely positive momentum.
Like, what have we been waiting for this entire time from the Warriors? We've been waiting for Klay Thompson to.
I don't think we've been
like
waiting. I think they've been waiting.
That's everybody's been waiting. Clay himself has been waiting.
Yeah, and I think he's finally in a good rhythm, and it'll be good to play with Steph and get back into things. And I'm going Warriors in 5 as well. Obviously,
cool.
Assuming that Steph is healthy and is 80% at least, like you said.
Cool. And then obviously, as tradition on the Waterboy, the Hoopologists podcast. That's gonna be a minute. Sorry, guys. The Hoopologists podcast. We're gonna pick our finals 2 teams, in the one in the East, one in the West, and our finals winner. Kays, who do you have making the finals, and who do you have winning the thing?
I'm gonna go Warriors and Bucks.
And the winner
Warriors
is
in 6.
I like it. Shaban, what are you thinking?
I'm gonna go Suns and Bucks rematch.
Okay.
And this time I'm gonna say Suns in 7.
Okay. And Asad.
I'm 100% in agree with Shaban. I think it's going to be a Bucks Suns rematch, and Suns. I pick Suns in 7 as well.
And unfortunately, listener, we're going pretty much wash here. I'm going Bucks and Suns as well, but I'm going Bucks, and I'm going Bucks in 7 because I can't pick against Giannis. The Suns should win. I'm picking Giannis. That's all. That's really all it is here. Listener, thank you for listening to the first episode of the Hoopologists Podcast. And until next week, enjoy basketball. Be good. Wear a mask. I'm sick. See ya.
Same. Later.
Bye.
Peace.